YouTube and TikTok. So when you come on, please tell us hello, tell us how you're doing, tell us where you're from. So if you are watching right this very second over on Facebook and you don't see that little live button, it's very likely you're watching us on replay. So if you would, please put hashtag replay in the comments and tell us hello. Tell us how your day's going. So we had a sweet little lady come by, Miss Tracy, and she asked that we make a silk arrangement for her. She actually brought us all the things to work on the silk arrangement with, and so I thought we would do that with you guys. So she brought this beautiful mercury glass container. It is very fragile. It kind of makes me a little nervous. It's just a glass, mercury glass container, but I hated to glue directly down into the container because I don't know if she might want to reuse this or not. So I'm going to show you how to make an arrangement using a container we're not going to glue down into. So let me show you what we will do. First of all, I'm going to show you where we're coming from with our colors. She brought in, this is going in a bedroom, and it kind of has a beautiful botanical look. It's got leaves on the bedding, and then a pretty, this is kind of a mustard colored yellow. She did bring in some flowers, and I thought we would add some pretty whites with these flowers. But she brought in several different blooms. She brought in a bag that had some different blooms.
Colibri Floral on TikTok says, hello, how are you?
Hello, so glad you're here, friend. Welcome. We are good, we are good. So I'm gonna set these to the side so they don't get dirty or messed up. Let me show you how we're gonna line this container. Again, she did even bring us a picture of what she had in mind, which y'all is wonderful. I love it when you bring me a picture and say, this is kind of what I was thinking. So I've got her picture here. I'm gonna set it here. So this is what we're gonna do to line this container. So this is called floral paper. It's a wax paper. And it's actually kind of plastic lined. It's a foil paper, not a wax paper, a foil paper. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some scissors.
Miss Tiffany on TikTok says, hey Monty, I'm with TMI Gifts in Belmont, Mississippi.
Hello, so glad you're here. Thank you for watching, friend.
And Miss Denise on TikTok followed us. Thank you, Miss Denise.
Thank you, Denise.
And Calibri says, so glad to catch you live.
Hello, hello. I'm glad you're here.
Miss Tiffany says, Lori raves about you.
Oh, sweet Lori. I need to reach out to Lori. I got some questions, so I need to reach out to her. Okay, so this is foil paper, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this paper and push it right down into this container. I'm going to just press it right down into the container. Because again, I don't want to mess up her container. I am not sure that she won't want to reuse it for something else. So I push that foil paper down into that container, and I'm going to take some scissors and I'm going to trim it all the way around.
The Floral Cottage says, I've been out for a while. How's your mama doing?
Mama's doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. She's doing fantastic. So I'm just kind of holding my hand down into this container, and I'm going all the way around and trimming up this foil.
Miss Tiffany says these are some gorgeous flowers.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Thank you.
Is there any way we can zoom in on Facebook?
Yeah, well, I can try.
Sorry, I'll move some of this stuff. Okay, so here's my lined container. I just, again, used a foil paper to line that container. Now let me show you what I like to use as my plaster. So this is, and it's upside down, so y'all forgive me because we opened it upside down. It's plaster of Paris. I actually picked up this very large bag, 25-pound bag at Lowe's, and I think it's $22 for this large bag. So I have some little cups down in here, And it always makes a mess, so just a warning.
On YouTube, Miss Dolores says, hi, Monty and Owen. Miss Berlin says, hello from Louisiana. And Miss Rona says, hi, Monty and Owen, and beautiful Victoria.
Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. So glad y'all are here. So I'm just taking this plaster of Paris, and I just poured some of that powder right down into our container. And again, it's messy, so have a good messy space that you can use that. I just put it down into the container just like that.
Thank you for following, Miss Tiffany.
Just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some water. Thank you for the follow, Tiffany. Thank you, thank you. I've got water in this pitcher, and I'm just pouring a little water down into that plaster of Paris. And then I have a fork that I use, and I am just stirring it up. Now you want it to not be too runny, but you don't want it to be powdery either. So just kind of a little runnier than biscuits, if that makes sense. Most of us cook. I know Rhea cooks. She would know what I was talking about, except she wouldn't call them biscuits, would she? What would she call them? Anyway, scones. It's a little runnier than scones. Okay, so I just stirred it up, and you can kind of see I don't even know how to tell you the texture, but it's runny enough, or it's got enough liquid in it that I'm going to be able to press my foam right down into that plaster of Paris, okay? So this is actually the top of it is one of those vase inserts that we use for cemetery work. This is a softer foam, and so I just cut the bottom off, and I'm going to press it right down into that plaster of Paris. Now what this is going to do is it's going to dry, and it's going to give enough weight to the bottom of this container that we're not going to have any issues whatsoever with it coming out.
Miss Rhea did say they call it scones.
Scones, but kind of like a biscuit, okay? It's a little drier. A little softer than biscuits, so it would be kind of, you would need more flour, but it kind of gives you an idea of its consistency. You don't want it too runny. Okay, I'm going to set this to the side. Owen, will you run in there and grab me a handful of Spanish moss? Do you know what that is? Yep. Right there by Miss Callie's workstation.
Allison Bell says, wow, I never catch you live. Just want to say thank you. I recently had to make a prom corsage for my nephew's date, and your YouTube videos helped so much.
Yay! I am so glad. Thank you, thank you. I am so glad that these videos are useful. I always worried that maybe they wouldn't be useful, but we've had lots of people say they are useful, so I'm so thankful. So Owen's going to grab us a little bit of Spanish moss, and we're going to cover our mechanics. So again, let me show you. Thank you, Owen. I just took that foam and pressed it right down in there, so you really can't see it, and that foil is just kind of green, so it kind of covers it up. There's the looks of it, and again, it just has that that paper right over the plaster of Paris, and then I have stuck my foam down in there. Now she's going to very easily be able to remove this foam if she wants to from this container.
On YouTube you have lots of hellos.
Hello guys, hello, hello, so glad y'all are here.
And Gracie Smith says, like pancake batter.
Like pancake batter, that's exactly it. Gracie, thank you, friend. That was exactly it. It's more pancake batter.
Miss Joanne followed us on TikTok. Thank you.
Thanks, Joanne. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just taking a little bit of Spanish moss and I'm going over that foam. I just don't want the foam or the foil to show. So just very simply put a little moss over the top. If you don't have moss, it's not a big deal. But if you have moss, it's always nice to kind of cover it up. And it doesn't have to be Spanish. You can certainly use sheet moss, whatever kind of moss is good.
Rhea Norman says, plaster of Paris and Spanish moss, two very messy things.
Two very, very messy things, right? And that's why you need to either work outside or in a messy area because they're both very messy. Okay. Now, what we're going to do next is I'm going to add greenery. And so, Miss Tracy brought me several things. She actually brought a bag that has some greenery in it and some other flowers. We're not going to use all her flowers that she brought, but we are going to use a little bit of her pretty foliage. I love it when someone brings us their pretty things and trusts us to work with them. It makes me happy. And it makes me have to work a little harder because I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to be working with.
Maria asks, have you ever dropped a customer's vase or container and broken it?
Well, Rhea, don't say it. No, not yet. But that doesn't mean I won't. No, ma'am, I have not. But we did have a little girl one time. We had a bride bring us a cross, and I had one of my employees throw it away, and it made my heart sick. I thought I would die, but we were able to recreate it, so it wasn't a big deal, but it made my heart sick. But I have not broken a container.
Miss Charlotte followed us on TikTok. Thank you, Miss Charlotte.
Thanks, Charlotte. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so we're going to start out with this. It almost looks like a eucalyptus. It's a eucalyptus color. It's just an artificial little bundle. I think that I picked this up from Hobby Lobby. And so we're going to use that. So I'm just going to take my wire snips. Now these are snips that I picked up from Lowe's, and they're cobalt snips. I actually do have these listed on our Amazon storefront because they are wonderful.
Miss Brittany followed us on TikTok. Thank you, Miss Brittany.
Thanks, Brittany. Thank you.
So did Miss Sharon. Thank you, Miss Sharon.
Thanks, guys. So I'm just taking it. I cut that greenery up in small pieces. I'm going to dip it in my glue pan. So let me tell you, if you do not have a glue pan, this is one of the most wonderful inventions. It's just a pan that you melt glue in, and then you're able to take your stems and dip them right into that glue and press them right into your foam.
Miss Janice Baxlone says, hello dear and lovely ladies. I'm in bed resting. A friend drove me to the doctor today. I appreciate each and every one who prayed for me.
Oh, Miss Janice, I have been praying for you so hard. I'm so thankful you're here with us today.
Miss Cheryl asks, do you glue down the moss on the foam?
I am not gluing down the moss, but the moss stays in place, especially when you begin to glue all your little greenery and your flowers down into the arrangement, so it stays in place really well. So I'm just taking each of these small stems and I am just pressing them. I dipped them in the glue and I'm just pressing them right down into the foam. That stem was a little long, so I just trimmed it, cut it in half, dip it, and stick that in. So there's a little bit of greenery.
Allison says, oh, Monty, that's awful. How stressful that must have been. Glad you could recreate the cross.
It was horrible. It was so bad. I was so sick. But it was an accident, and she was really, the bride was so kind. But it does make you nervous, especially when working with something as fragile.
Thank you for sharing the live, Stormy.
Thanks. Thank you for the share, Stormy. We appreciate it.
Dawn Goodman says, hi, Monty. I am on a church bus headed to Kentucky to the Ark and Creation Museum. Finally get to catch you live.
Yay! Yay! Be careful. Y'all have a wonderful time. I have never been there. I would love to go.
Design Queen says, just joining, what is the hot plate being used to melt the glue? Thanks.
So this is actually, I think we have this listed on our Amazon storefront over on Facebook. It's at the top of our page. It's just a hot glue pan. It is wonderful. They come in different sizes. For me personally, this size is the best because two of us can work at the same time. But you just take glue pellets and you drop them down in there and it just melts the glue. And so instead of using a hot glue pan that glue gun that blisters, the pan is wonderful.
David would like to see a close-up of the wire snips.
Absolutely, and I'll post it up underneath. It just says cobalt. It's just a blue handle, but I'll post it underneath your comment.
Lisa Russell says, I had a funeral home guy drop my basket and break it all to pieces. Flowers were broken and the family picked it out specifically. Talk about an oh my moment.
Oh, it makes your heart hurt, doesn't it, friend?
Oh, thank you, Miss Margaret.
All right, so we added her ivy, so it's just pretty greenery in that container.
Design Queen says it must really save time.
It does, and it saves your hands because it's very quick to be able to dip and stick and all the things, but it doesn't blister like a hot glue gun. A hot glue gun blisters so badly.
Miss Linda Juster asks if that is the customer's base too.
It is her container, and that's why I didn't want to glue directly into her container, because I wasn't sure if we would use it again for another, if she wanted to use it for another something. She might get tired of this arrangement and want to use it for something different, and this makes it so much easier. Okay, so there's our greenery. Now, the flowers she brought. Okay, let me show you our inspiration again. So it's a kind of a botanical theme. It's got some leaves, pretty greens on a white background, and then she's going to use the mustard color with it. Now the flowers that she actually had kind of include some of these blooms, kind of a mustard, kind of a creamy with a little bit of yellow. I thought that would be beautiful. It's not a very large arrangement. It's just going to be a simple, pretty arrangement to go. I'm not exactly sure if it'll be a bedside table or a dresser, but we've got lots of pretty blooms that are kind of in that yellow tone, but I thought that peach would be beautiful with it. And then we're going to add just hints of whites because her bedding is white, and there's a touch of pink, a soft pink. So we're going to kind of play with it. And then I do have some different little branches we're going to tuck in.
Allison says a very pretty color scheme.
Thanks, Allison. Thank you. So I'm going to start out with the largest bloom, and we're going to kind of nestle that kind of in the center.
Miss Janice says both the Art and Creation Museum were a highlight of my life. I would encourage everyone to go.
Oh, I'd love to take a trip and go and see it. I think it would be so much fun. All right, so we nestled our, this is kind of a garden looking rose. It has some pretty buds on it. So I just left them all intact and kind of nestled that in. And then we have a couple of branches. One's got a good bit of the corally peachy color, so I'm going to add that, and then this one's got a little bit of pink. And I'm actually going to cut this in half. And I'm just dipping each of those stems right down into that glue and pressing them right down into that foam.
Calibri Floral says, Monty, how do you handle a customer's vase when you receive it? Let's see.
So this one,
are you
go ahead.
Are you responsible? And it broke, and what happens?
If it breaks, I'm just going to order a new one, I think. And I'm going to just pray that it doesn't break. Now this one, actually, she had it packed in a box, and she did say it is fragile. But she purchased it. So this one is not something that was an heirloom. It wasn't grandmother's. So I'm not too worried about it. I feel like I can certainly replace it. But I'm just praying that we don't, we don't have to. So I just took some of these stems and I cut them apart. And I'm just tucking them kind of here and there. So I'm kind of going all the way around in this arrangement. I just want it to be pretty on all sides. Next, we're going to come in with a few of these roses. I'm just going to trim them down with my snips, dip it in glue.
Thank you for following Miss Helen, and thank you for following Miss Katina.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for being here. I love that this one, some of her flowers were the perfect color. She wasn't sure about that. She was kind of concerned, but I think they're going to be beautiful in this arrangement. So I'm just I cut so it had a little bit of foam. You could tell where it came out of another arrangement. Anytime you have an arrangement that you're tired of, don't throw those flowers away. Stick them in a bag. Stick them in the attic if you have room, because you can always pull those back out and use them for another project.
Kristen Weaver says, hi y'all, just delivered some cookies for physical therapy graduation, taking a break to watch our Monty W. King.
Awesome, awesome, friend. Oh, I know they're so yummy. I can't wait for you to make Micah's cookies. Okay, so that's a pretty ranunculus. I dipped it in the glue. I love this color. Tucked him right in. So see how it's going to be kind of dainty and pretty. Here's another one that kind of matches. We'll do back here on this side. I love when a customer brings me a picture too and says, I really like this style. I'm like, girl, I don't even have to think. I can just kind of copy what she's got in mind.
Thank you, Miss Toledo, for following us.
Hello,
On
hello.
TikTok.
Welcome. Thank you for being here. So I'm just cutting some of those stems, but this is really fairly simple arrangement.
Wayne Winiger Sr. says, I missed the beginning. Did you use hard styrofoam or the soft?
It's soft, Wayne, and I'll actually go and grab one of those foam cones and kind of show you what it looks like. But I just took it and I put a piece of, this is foil paper. I lined my container with foil paper, and then I added plaster of Paris. So it's very easy to pull out and add back to if we wanted to. Okay, so I'm not sure about these berries. They're really lime, and her coloring is really a gray green. So I feel like this is a little too lime for that gray green. Y'all tell me. Everything else is kind of gray green. Is that too much? It's a lot, isn't it, Victoria?
Miss Michelle says it on TikTok, says it's beautiful.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, thank you. So I think this lime green is a little lime. What do y'all think? Here's a bud, so I'm going to add him in.
Miss Lisa says, love the foil idea.
Isn't that wonderful? It just works out great, so that way you're not stuck. I don't know. I'm one of those silly designers that I have been designing flowers for years. For years and years. And I don't know what it is about making a permanent arrangement that makes me so nervous. I am so nervous about a permanent arrangement because you're going to get stuck with it. I'm just afraid to make something that someone feels like they're stuck with. I do think let's add a little bit of the white to this arrangement because our bedding is so white. So we're going to add a little bit of these blooming branches.
Mama 2 on TikTok says followed us, and she says that she likes the lime.
You do like the lime?
Miss Darcy and Miss Hermie says the lime green is a little too bright and a little too overpowering for them.
Well, I thought
We have mixed reviews on
mixed reviews. And what I may do is I may tuck it in and not glue it in, and that way if she likes it, she can leave it, or she can pull it out. It'll be really easy to remove. So these are some branches. This branch I actually purchased, so we did an artificial party with artificial blooms last week, and this branch, it had the 3 little pieces. I got on, how do you say it, Shein, however you say that company. I got these off of that company, and they were like $4 for the whole stem cost. So that's always exciting.
Miss Kathy Edwards asks, if you can only put a few of the grapes, can you separate them so they are only a few? It's like just a touch.
Well, it's really, and well, they're paper, and it's really more of a berry than a grape. It doesn't look so grapey. But I might be able to. I'll just tuck a few in. If we like it, we can leave it. If
Josh
we don't have to.
on TikTok says, I love your arrangements and also how you say foliage. He and his mom both say it the same way. How do you say foliage?
Foliage.
Oh.
Did I say that wrong? Am I saying that silly?
I think I'm starting to get more nose
Yeah,
to the
More
no,
nose on the lime. I just think it's so lime. I think that it screams, oh,
Yeah.
but I don't mind it. I do mind it with her bedding though.
Yeah.
it in for a second and see what they think.
They're saying they don't think it'll match her.
I agree. I think her green is more of a gray green, and that is so lime.
Fairy Godflorist on TikTok says, I missed the beginning. Do you allow customers to bring in their own permanent flowers?
We do. We allow customers to bring in their own permanent flowers, and I just charge them to put it together. So I don't mind that. The only time that I don't allow other flowers to come into our shop is I don't really want you bringing in fresh flowers. So for holidays and such, I won't allow you to bring in fresh flowers from somewhere else and us arrange those for you and deliver. We don't do that. Now, I don't mind permanent silks and you bringing in things if we need to rework a wreath or a container just like this one. I don't mind you bringing it in that way, but I won't allow fresh flowers to come in because I don't know what their quality is. And when that goes out of our flower shop, when fresh flowers go out of our flower shop, I can't guarantee the quality, and so it's just something that we don't allow, but everything else we will. I am going to pull out those berries. I love the texture, but the color's wrong.
A few people are wondering if you can paint the berries.
Well, I tried to paint the berries. I would have loved to have like a mustard color, but I don't have any paint that's the right color. My color yellow is a bright, like a sunshine yellow, and so it won't work. But yes, you could tone them down with paint, absolutely. But I don't have any paint available, so that's the reason I didn't do that today.
Gracie Smith on YouTube says the client screen is more sage.
Yeah, it's very sagey, very very dusty, like a pretty gray green. Okay, now let me show you this and see what y'all think. I do have this fun, it is a type of pampas plume. It's called monkey tail pampas, and I don't know if we're gonna like this in here, but it's more of a dried material, but it is the mustard color, kind of, not really, but kind of her bedding. So I thought maybe we would play with that. I'm thinking though, I do have this also in a green, in a beautiful green, but it's kind of a bright green. It's a really bright green, but we can play with it and see what we think. It is really bright though, and it's kind of a fake green. We're not going green.
Calibri Florals on TikTok says that she really likes the color.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so this is monkey tail pampas. It is a dried material, and I thought we would play with it. If we don't like it, we don't have to leave it.
Thank you for sharing, Miss Amy.
But I think it's such a fun little dried material, and it kind of gives us a little bit of a fun texture.
Miss Jessie Lofton asks, if they bring their own, how do you charge them?
So I usually just, number one, I added some material, so I will charge with the material, and then I charge by the difficulty. So it just depends on how difficult the arrangement was. It is all dependent on what the arrangement is and how difficult, which does not give you any help, I know that. But it's just one of those things where I just have to kind of play with it and see. I am going to take this and strip it down. It's a little long, so I'm just stripping some of those little plumes off. Okay, is that too orangey, or is that okay?
Craig really likes the orange.
You like
This
it?
is beautiful.
Kind of that golden color.
Miss Mildred prefers it without. Miss Mary Lou likes the orange color. Miss Joan loves the pampas.
And I'm not going to glue it in because she might not like it. It is not the style in her in this picture. I am going to add a little bit more foliage to her arrangement. But it is just about finished.
Miss Marissa really enjoys the pampas as well.
You do like it? So I'm going to take a little bit of this ivy that she had. And I'm going to dip that right down into that glue. And I'm going to come around this edge here to kind of give us a little bit of softness around that edge.
Thank you for following, Leah.
Thank you for the follow, friend. Thank you, thank you.
On YouTube, Gracie Smith, she likes the color, but she thinks it's a little too stiff. She thinks that bunny tails would have been pretty in that color.
Ooh, bunny tails would be pretty, and they're so much softer, but I don't believe that I have any in the shop right now, but bunny tails would be soft and pretty. I agree. I agree.
Is YouTube frozen? Yeah, YouTube's frozen, Victoria.
Oh, it is frozen.
So I'm just kind of coming around
See if that works here.
That'll
all the way around and making sure that that edge is soft with foliage. And what I mean by that is I never want my arrangement to look like a scoop of ice cream on the top of a cone. I always like to add just a little bit of a dripping greenery around the edge. It just kind of softens the arrangement.
We have a few mixed reviews on
the
or
pampas.
mixed opinions.
Yeah.
On the pampas.
I figured it would, and that's why I didn't glue it in, because she may decide that she doesn't like that at all, and that's completely okay. I tell my customers, especially this sweet lady, I said, if you come in and you're not pleased, just let me know. I can fix it. I'm always, I don't know, silks always make me nervous. I know that's so silly.
Calibri says you always do amazing work, Mom.
Oh, you're so kind.
And
thank you.
Thank you for following, Miss Marissa.
I have one more small piece. I think I'm going to tuck it here, give us a little bit more height right there and softness.
That little part of ivy isn't sitting correctly on the front left.
Okay, I'll work on it. All right.
The
What do you
color
think?
scheme is pretty.
You do think it's pretty?
Mm-hmm.
So you can see how all I did was take a lot of her materials and then I just added a touch of ours to it. The thing I really like about the pampas plumes is the fact that her bedding with that mustard color is a little bit of a fall color, and so I like that kind of pulls that same tone, but I like that the peaches and the oranges and the yellow kind of pull all of the softer springy flowers too.
Miss Peggy asks, what type of glue are you using? It seems to not be stringing.
It does string. You just didn't see the strings. Yes, it does have a string. It does string. You just have to pull all those strings off, and it kind of gets on my fingernails. It is called pellet glue. They almost look like little pillows, but it's just little pellets of glue that you can just take by the handful and drop in there, and it melts. You can also take glue sticks and drop those in there, and they melt just the same, but it does have that same string that hot glue does. It's going to be the exact same thing. Some of it strings worse than others, but it does string. And I'm going to lay her to her bedding here so that you can kind of see what that looks like together. All right, and there is our arrangement, guys. Just kind of a soft botanical look. Any more questions, Owen?
I think you're good to go.
All right. So guys, if you have any questions, you can always drop it in the comments below. I know over on TikTok, we lose this video when it's gone, but you can always check us out on all of our platforms. We are actually, we are on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we are on YouTube, and we're on Instagram. So we'd love to have you check us out on all of those platforms. Guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up or a heart. We would love that. On Facebook, be sure to sprinkle this video so that other people can see it, and we will see you all real soon. Thanks, guys.